Hello again YouTube, Pan here, and you joined me about a week or so after I got some very exciting, very fun news. Now you may remember from a few months back that I sent a coin off to be graded by Uncle Numistacker, and it's come back, and the news is very, very good news. So you may recognise this coin as being the 2003 proof half sovereign that I showed on a video a few months back, and well, which is the best way around to do this way, I think. It has returned. It is in a slab, which is already a good sign. It means it's not a fake. It is looking incredibly pretty, so I think the conservation definitely worked very nicely. And it got the highest numerical grade possible, PF 70. So PF proof 70, the numerical grade for the quality of the coin, and Ultra Cameo for the amount of frosting on it. And I am immensely satisfied with that. Look at that. So yeah, that was my my first experience of sending something off to go and get graded, and I cannot imagine any scenario where it turns out any better than this. So that is absolutely pride of place in the collection right now. And well, this week has also been a week which has seen some dramatic price action in the silver market. Gold market too to some extent, but most noticeably the silver. And it's now actually dropped down to the lowest spot value since I started stacking a humble, well, less than a year ago, but you know what I mean. It's been quite a week. But I'm not actually here to talk about silver today. No, instead, basically flushed from my success at sending a coin off to NGC, I maybe kind of gave in to the temptation to pick up a little bit of gold. Because obviously if I get a coin graded at PF70, I'm an expert now. Obviously that's how it works. So, what's in the purse this time? It's a quarter sovereign. Now this really is quite a teeny coin, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my macro lens so we can have a proper close look at it. So looking at the obverse, there should be a few things that leap out to you immediately. The most important of which being the word Gibraltar in the bottom right hand corner, and that's right, this is not really a United Kingdom coin, or to be more specific, this is not a Royal Mint coin. This coin is one of a range of things offered by, am I going to name and shame? Yeah, I think I am actually, called the London Mint Office, and this is a company that basically produces sort of special edition coins for kind of minor territories, so places like Gibraltar, and they, how to put this, they retail these for an extraordinarily high premium over spot. Bear in mind, this isn't like a proof coin. This is, you know, kind of, it's not necessarily a bad coin per se, but the amount they charge over spot is really, really quite large. Especially for coins that generally, in terms of collector's value, most people really aren't very interested in, which is a little bit of a shame because it is actually in some ways quite a nice coin. Whereas on the second-hand market, most people will look at this and will be basically interested in the value of the precious metal, and that's about it. And what makes this worse, or what makes me feel a little dubious about having this coin, frankly, is that the company that produces it, I've read various reports of them using quite predatory marketing practices where, you know, you agree to buy, say, you know, kind of a quarter sovereign for this, you know, quite large price, and then they start sending you other coins on approval, and I'm sure this is all covered in their small print somewhere, but it's still a bit, and I'm trying to use my words carefully here, it's not a practice that I personally would approve of. So I feel a little bit conflicted, and the other thing is when I bought this, they also produced this small folder of papers that came with, which includes, you know, sort of a little description of the coin, a certificate of authenticity, although it didn't include a number on it, which is always a little bit suspect. And unfortunately the invoice for whoever the poor soul was who bought it before me. I picked this up, by the way, at a retailer, at a place that kind of sells a lot of second-hand jewellery and other precious metals, and I paid, a premium over spot for this, bearing in mind this was buying, kind of at a retail location. I wasn't entirely surprised by that, and I was happy to take a little bit of a gamble based on the fact that I didn't quite know what the coin was, but it looked interesting. That gamble's probably not going to pay off for me in the long run, because, as I said, there's actually really quite little secondary market interest in these coins, but I do have some thoughts. Now, as some of you on the forum may know, I kind of have been curious about sovereign rings for a while now. And yeah, the general consensus seems to be that I don't know what I'm talking about, and actually they're probably a little more gangster blinging than I necessarily thought they were, or a little bit more Del Boys than I thought they were. And they're big and they're chunky, and I can kind of see that maybe for a lot of people they're a little bit gauche. So I started thinking, well, how about a half sovereign ring? Because that's a bit smaller and more delicate, right? And then looking at this, I'm like, well, how about a quarter sovereign ring? Because this is really small enough that it's not going to be kind of sitting like a great big huge signet on top of your hand. This is something that would actually, I think, blend reasonably well into a normally relatively curved coin and could probably be reasonably discreet. And I have to say, the ring making has tailed off a little bit over the summer, mostly because of the heat wave making it way too hot for me to go out and do things in the shed. But this looks like a potentially interesting new avenue, or at least, a potentially new interesting project to take on. So keep your eyes peeled, and I will give you updates when and if I have them. Let's have a quick look at the reverse, because one of the things that is kind of nice about this coin, the reverse was designed by the great-granddaughter of Benedetto Pastricci, who designed the famous George and the Dragon that we see on our sovereigns. And this is kind of, a modern, slightly different take on it. Just going to see if I can twist this in the light to give you a slightly better impression of it. Again, it's a little tricky because this coin is so teeny. There we go. One of the things I really like is I like how it really uses the format. So, the dragon is almost like it's trapped in the coin and it's clawing its way up the sides of it, which I think looks really quite cool. So, unlike the half sovereign that I have, there really probably isn't much point sending this one off for grading. It's not really a proof coin. I'm not convinced about it being such good quality. And to be honest, the lack of kind of numismatic interest in this as, kind of having a resale potential means that I'm way more interested in oh, can I do something interesting with this? So I guess lastly the thought is, well, do I do it facing queen side out or George and the Dragon side out? And I think especially with this being such a novel interpretation of it, unlike the normal Benedetto Pastricci one that we see on all our sovereigns, I think I'd do it with this one facing out because it's more interesting. Was this quarter sovereign worth picking up? Are quarter sovereigns worth getting in general, or are they just too small and too high premium? Does it make sense to try and tune this into jewellery, or am I just getting a little obsessed? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Alright, bye for now.